And now you have the main event, the heavyweight match between Michigan State's Demetrius Renfroe and Purdue's Tyler Kral. This is Renfroe's first year as a starter. He went 6-6 on the heavyweight spot last year, and Kral won a match against number one ranked Penn State last week. That's huge for anyone on any weight class level.
That is big. But you have to keep in mind, Penn State is missing their heavyweight due to an injury. An interesting fact, actually, Coach Cale Sanderson met with Coach Franklin of the Penn State football team, and Penn State had a wrestler, former wrestler, that they allowed to come wrestle for Penn State after playing football. So that's an interesting fact. But let's get started here at heavyweight.
It's always interesting to see the graceful wrestling you'll get at the heavyweight position.
Not a lot of action usually, but Kral looks to be a pretty athletic heavyweight.
That he does.
Kral. So excuse us for the pronunciation mistake. So Tyler Kral as Demetrius Renfroe with that Russian tie on the right side, as I mentioned, left side. So he has that left hand on the wrist, right hand on the bicep, tricep area. And I call it the Russian tie, but Arizona State head coach Zeke Jones says, don't call it the Russian tie. Russians are the best in the world at wrestling. They don't need any more credit. So just call it a 2-on-1.
A 2-on-1.
So for Coach Zeke Jones, I'll just call it 2-on-1 for the rest of the duel. So Kral with that collar tie on Renfroe's left side. Now he goes double collar tie, switches to the left-handed collar tie, right hand on the over tie, and Renfroe has to be in trouble, or has to be careful here that he doesn't give up the slide by. So now right back to that 2-on-1.
The heavyweight, you get mostly fighting for hand position and head position. And then once someone does get a takedown or any kind of point, kind of got to ride from there because it's usually not high scoring.
2-1. That's what it usually is. 1-1 heading into overtime, a takedown, so 3-1 majority of the time.
And then occasionally you'll get that fall when someone makes a mistake.
I wonder what the statistics are about heavyweights heading into overtime, tied 1-1. We'll have to do some research for our next duel.
We'll have to do some research, but I'm going to take an educated guess and say it's probably very high.
Greater than 50%. So we end this first period 0-0 as Kral selects the down position.
And this is a critical place to try to earn points from an escape in the heavyweight position.
So let's see if Kral is able to escape or if Renfroe is able to get the suck back. Looking for it, very close. So Renfroe showing his ability in the top position. So as Kral sits out, Demetrius Renfroe goes went to the double underhooks, looked for the suck back, out of bounds, head back to the center. As his teammates call him Big Meech, Demetrius Renfroe looking to continue to ride tough on top. 29 seconds is on the riding time. And Kral with the step over and getting near fall. So could potentially pick up a fall for the Purdue Boilermakers. And Demetrius doing a good job on bottom, fighting this off. But
Kral might have too much weight up top to get Renfroe's shoulders pinned on the mat.
Great
and you see
observation.
Renfroe.
And does just get a little too high. So 2 points for the reversal, 4 points for the near fall, so 6-0 is the score. So there goes our theory out of the window. 3-1.
Renfroe's got to look to do something to make up those points. Like you said, 6-0 is devastating, especially as the second period's closing down with only 20 seconds left.
So now you start to think, if you're Demetrius Renfroe, where are you going in the third period? You need 6 points. I say you go on your feet.
I agree. Neutral position's the only place he's going to be able to make up those 6 points.
Let's see where Coach Sam Wendland puts Demetrius.
And he has indicated he wants the neutral position for Demetrius.
So a good call by the coaching staff and Sam Wendland here in our final match.
Purdue leading Michigan State 24-15.
And Demetrius wrestled a good first period, a good half of the second period, so that's a growing. We know what he's capable of on top. He just got a little too high, so a simple mistake put 6 points on the board for Kral, but this is promising for Demetrius in that now you look towards the Big Ten tournament, because that's the determining factor of your season is the Big Ten championships. So now you start to look how, if these guys say they're meeting for a potential spot in the NCAA championships, Demetrius knows he can hang with Kral.
And as you mentioned, going into the later part of the season, for the guys at heavyweight, technique is so important. That's where they're gonna, finding the technique to find a flaw in their opponent that they're wrestling, that's what's gonna get them those points and eventually lead to those victories.
So 43 seconds left here. Riding time not a factor, so it looks like we'll have a decision here unless Kral gets a takedown.
Closing it in on 20 seconds.
So that's gonna do it here at heavyweight.
As Purdue gets the last 3 points, and that seals the victory for them. Not that it wasn't done before that, but 27-15.